The IDF has cut the ground army by thousands of tanks, 50% of the artillery divisions and infantry brigades and more by a total of 6 divisions. So that's why, in his opinion, they don't have the surplus in forces to have enough maneuvers deep into enemy territory and continue to attack them and win the war. They don't have a surplus, whereas on the other hand, both Hamas and Hezbollah are recruiting new people. When it comes to Hezbollah, from the beginning, they said how many people wanted to already join the fights, and we don't have, we have enough people, we don't need any more. And with Hamas, it's very easy. And again, Israel has been the biggest recruiter for these resistance movements because they see the alternative. They see the alternative that the Israeli terror army is having inside of Gaza and in Lebanon as well. Now, all of this, according to BRIC, is causing a huge difference. A huge difference in what? In what's happening on the ground and the lies of the political and military echelons that are trying to create a positive image at the expense of the truth. He also said that after the extremist jihadists conquered Syria, according to him, he's also referring to Syria, we once again heard joyful cheers from the political and military leaders and large parts of the public, and them claiming that we targeted and damaged the Iranian axis of evil thanks to the IDF, and we no longer have enemies. And he said, this reminds me of the same smugness, arrogance, and irresponsibility that we heard in the years before Hamas attacked from Gaza on October the 7th. We were saying that we were the strongest army in the region, the Arab countries are deterred. He was criticizing that and the self-satisfaction without understanding all of the threats. And now he's saying that we're having the same arrogance and joy when it comes to Syria, when we could be facing a threat that is 10 times worse than what we have already. He added, quoting the Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, saying, President Erdogan, who stood on the right of the rebels and the coup in Syria, said that he would help leader al-Julani and threatened Israel to stop the occupation. Syria said that Jerusalem is ours. We're ignoring the fact that an evil axis that is 10 times more dangerous than its predecessor could arise in place. According to him, an evil axis of extremist Islamic states led by the Turks. This axis could arise in Syria, which would become an extremist jihadist state, a terrorist state that sits on the border with Israel. And also Jordan could join too. And he finished off by criticizing and warning from Egypt, again, saying that Egypt is slowly moving away from the peace and closer to countries who oppose us, like Turkey and Iran.
So think about this. Think of warfare. You inch a little bit, you attack, you never have a total victory, you never solve the problem, but you keep the continual war going. So the fall of Syria, wasn't that interesting? People just fled the country. Assad left. They said Assad was a dictator, a ruthless killer. Really? He had no debt. He wasn't part of any debt system in the world. They didn't owe any money to anybody. So why would the Zionists want to get rid of that? Because they didn't owe any debt. But the irony is that who's now taking control? Quote, the arch enemy of the United States of America, a terrorist organization run by... I mean, look at this twist. So when you go down this rabbit hole, I don't know what they call a rabbit hole, but you go down this hole and you go, wait, they like to perpetuate war, they like to make profits off war. So now all of a sudden, though, the tides turn, where we'll call it the Middle East, West Asia, that region there, the forces that have been fighting in these wars for so long, for a long time, they're finally tired of it, and they're finally putting their facts together, and they're uniting now and saying, no, Israel, it's time for you to go away. But from a strategic point of view, if you want to keep perpetuating wars, you just want to kind of shut the war down and let the resistance build and continue the war cycle so we can come at it again another way. And we spend, since Vietnam, hundreds of trillions of dollars on wars, and we keep playing this game that never ends. That is like, excuse me, end the whole goddamn thing. Stop the thing. Stop. No more wars. Build a global economy. You wonder why BRICS is growing? Because they're tired of this Western fucking mentality that thinks that war is the way for the future. And then they come back and tell us that China's a threat. Oh, Jesus Christ. China's a threat. Are you really that stupid? Do you really think China's a threat when they build everything that we use? This is how bullshit the Western media is. It's owned by the Zionists, and they have to have a threat. They have to have a fear base. That's the only way that they can win, and they pay off our politicians to stay in line because they don't want to lose their fat job of milking the American taxpayer out of, Jesus, how many millions they make every year and how many congressional members get paid off? I mean, we'll talk about Ponzi scheme. This thing is like, not even a Ponzi scheme. This thing is like a megalomaniac money machine on steroids. It's monopoly on steroids. And it's a killing machine. And we need to stop it. And the solution is very simple. Israel, put your weapons down. Israel, if you want to live, you have to live in respect of all people. Netanyahu and all the criminals are prosecuted, put in prison, or executed. And we end these senseless wars of aggression so corporations can make massive profits. Or we just let it go a little further, and then all of a sudden, the resistance, which now is Russia, Iran, China, Egypt, Turkey, just add them up. They all say, we've had enough. Eliminate them. Eliminate them. And when they do, what's the U.S. going to do? They're going to run back home, figure out a way to continue the war so they can make more profits and come back again sometime and fight the resistance. Oh, my God. I'll be 73 coming up. And I've had enough of this. Everybody in the world's had enough of this. Every country in the world that's been invaded by the West has had enough of this. This is why BRICS exists. Because it's coming from countries that believe in the sanctity of life, agrarian people who just want to live, have families, and not have to worry about some fucking country coming in and stealing their resources and killing their people and starving them out so they can steal their fucking resources. I mean, come on, folks, wake the fuck up. This is 2025. This isn't 1962, 68, Vietnam. This isn't during when Iraq and all the other wars. This is over. It's done. Get rid of these old men who want to keep fighting these wars, and these women like Victoria Nuland and Hillary Clinton, and I can keep going. There's a whole bunch of warmonger women that just kind of keep their mouths shut, but they're all supporting the same thing so they can make profits for corporations. They don't speak out. Imagine that. Your representatives tell you that they care about you, that you're religious, they love you because you're religious and you love religion and you love God, and yet they sit there and they fund this. Are these people sociopaths or psychopaths? It's time, folks. Pick up the phone. Shut it down. And tell Donald Trump, pardon me, but fuck the Greater Israel Project. Yes, you'll lose, but yes, you have to rebuild. So you're going to have to get money to rebuild, so you'll be in the rebuilding process. But the only way you could rebuild is if the Palestinians are in control of the rebuilding, because that's their home. It's not Israel's home. It's not the West's home. It's not the megalomaniac investor's home. It's the Palestinians' home. Do you get it?